So, welcome, ladies and gents. The reign of the superhero is over, genuinely. We're going to be taking a look at the recent box office for superhero movies. This year has been a pretty, iconic one, record breaker in a negative way. In fact, basically, this year is the first non-lockdown year with any superhero movie managing to hit $700 million worldwide for any comic book movie. So it's pretty bad, actually, for the movie industry. Now, this isn't me championing superhero movies or comic book movies. I'm kind of done with them, quite frankly. And I assume a lot of you guys are as well. Otherwise, they would be hitting $700 million, wouldn't they? But they're not. And it's bad for the movie industry because they've been reliant on these for some time. The whole infrastructure of the movie industry, from the movie studios right the way through to the theatres and so on and so forth, has been reliant on comic book movies, and they just don't have the sort of creative capacity to branch out, it seems. Although maybe we will see things change moving forwards. So this is pretty major. It's a major turn of events. So hit subscribe if you're new here, guys. Turn the bell notifications on. But let's take a look, shall we? Because this is an interesting one. I'll leave this article linked down below as well. They're just sort of summarising a lot of the information that is out there in the world. So as this article says, for more than a decade, comic book movies were Hollywood's surest bet. Audiences could count on at least one Marvel or DC, 9 times out of 10 a Marvel movie, basically blistering past the $700 million mark. Pretty easy, to be fair. Every single year, that was a given. And not only that, movies would go on to hit $1 billion generally. That was kind of, not all of them, obviously, but $700 million was easy-ish, was pretty common. But basically, that's broken. It's done. It really is done. So in 2025, no comic book movie at all yet has reached $700 million, which is major. Like, that's major, especially considering everything's going up. You know, inflation is going up. So obviously that just indicates that footfall is down dramatically. That's obviously, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. Footfall is down astronomically high. And it's not a surprise, you know. I think we've reached a perfect storm in this entire situation. We had several strikes. So a few things that happened. We had Marvel building and building and building and building to Endgame. Within that build-up, they released a few duds that put people off, but people went to watch it anyway because they felt FOMO, fear of missing out. If they didn't go, Captain Marvel was allegedly one of them. You know, Kevin Feige convinced a lot of people to watch it, if you're going to believe the $1 billion mark that movie hit anyway. And then after Endgame, people kind of checked out. They then tried to release a whole bunch of stuff on the small screen. It just became a little bit too much to manage. They flooded the market. You then had obviously DC with their projects, which weren't going particularly well. And now, writer's strike, so on and so forth. Completely directionless superhero universe. And now that's it seems. That's kind of it. It's done, I think. And as this article notes, it's the first time this has happened in a non-lockdown year since 2011. It's pretty huge. And they say the reasons why reveal deep fractures in the superhero machine. So I thought we would take a look and see what they say anyway, because it's interesting, and I'll sort of put my counterpoints out there. So 2020 exception, lockdown, shutdown. So 2020 also lacked a $700 million superhero movie. Obviously, you know, theatres were shut, so not really a huge surprise. It's not really an argument you can make. Birds of Prey, $205 million. Wonder Woman, $169 million. New Mutants, $49 million. They weren't ever going to do particularly well anyway, and some of those movies were garbage. All of those movies were garbage, so what'd you expect? But it is what it is. But it's interesting to cover. So for that reason, analysts don't count 2020 against the streak. Lockdowns created a once-in-a-century moment. So 2025 matters so much because the failures come with no global shutdowns to blame. There is literally nothing to blame. The movie industry has continuously tried to blame COVID. They've tried to blame lockdown, but they need to blame themselves, right? Producing crap, flooding the market, and then also generating an at-home culture where you can just watch a movie on streaming within 35, 40 days. Why would you pay $100 or whatever for a few people and a few bags of popcorn to go watch a movie in a theatre? Why would you do it? Doesn't make any sense. So 2025 superhero scorecard. So this is interesting. So this year, Marvel and DC served up a combined 4 potential box office darling superhero movies, and none of them did well. Basically, none of them did well at all. Superman, $601 million worldwide. The article says it cleared a profit. It's not a huge hit, you know. I'm surprised it didn't do more, mainly just because we hadn't had a Superman movie, for a while. So surprising, but yeah, $601 million worldwide. Not great for probably the most recognizable superhero worldwide in combination with Batman, I guess, and Spider-Man. Spider-Man always does well. And then you got Fantastic Four: First Steps. I mean, it's not doing well. All in. This article says Marvel's long-teased reboot of the First Family carried heavy expectations. The studio marketed it as a new cornerstone. Its opening weekend was impressive, over $100 million domestic. Marvel's best start of 2025. But it's not really, I mean, it's kind of just limping on at the moment. This article says it's all but closed with $475 million globally. People think it might leg out to $500 million, but even then, that's abysmal for a Marvel movie. Like, that's atrocious. Captain America: Brave New World, bloody awful movie. Bombed, domestic failure, box office failure. $376 million worldwide for a movie that probably cost bare minimum $200 million. Awful. Thunderbolts. This is what they thought was going to be their turning point as well. Remember, Bob Iger came out and said this. $371 million worldwide. Terrible. Legit terrible. Really, really big failure here. So why did the genre fall short? International markets have vanished. That's fair. China money. They don't earn much from that anyway. Superhero fatigue. That's another one. Streaming changed habits. Yep. Agreed. Quantity over quality. Agreed with that as well. Audience rejection is immediate. Yeah. People have just checked out completely. Now, they say ideology over storytelling. They're creatively bankrupt. They're just lecturing people all the time. People are sick of that as well. A year-long pause might be part of it, I think. But if they're good films, people will go out and watch them. It's not given, obviously, but it is an argument. Now, I like how they use this, right? Spider-Man, because I think I'm going to round out this video here by saying, and I think it's a worthwhile point to say anyway, is that the true sort of telltale sign that we're right when we say that the superhero genre is kind of gone at this point is if Spider-Man comes out and that doesn't do particularly well in relation to other Spider-Man movies. If Spider-Man, whatever the new movie's called, Brand New Day, I think it's called, something like that, if that doesn't do like $1 billion, right? And I know it sounds like a crazy high number, but Spider-Man movies always do really well. If that doesn't do close to that sort of number, and it does under that, or even if it does $700 million, that's not good. That's a sign that people have begun to check out completely. Because Spider-Man movies always do well. We could use that as the barometer, I think, for the superhero genre as a whole, or it might be an outlier and people will go watch it anyway just because they like Spider-Man. So there you go. I mean, I think superheroes are dead. Comic book movies, in their iteration at the moment, are dead. And I do think, and I've made this point before, I think Marvel actually killed it. I think Marvel are the reason. Marvel are the ones which were on top of their game, arguably, and they flooded the market completely and also produced a whole bunch of garbage at the same time. And that will ruin the market for everyone. And they did that. Good times. Good times. Leave your thoughts down below. Bye-bye now.